Yes, well, the friend, I was a guide for a legally blind man who was running for a charity. And he was trying everything in his heart to run under 5 hours. And he said, could you pace me and tell me where I am? I've never finished. He said, I'm running this for my daughter. And as he come up, he said, I heard an explosion. It has to be a celebration of some kind. And I hadn't heard it. So as we rounded the bend on the Exeter, on the Boylston, towards the end, people started running back towards us. And they were full of blood and they had shrapnel on them. And I have never seen anything fear like that in all my life. And they said, you've got to stop, go back. He said, we're in the middle of some kind of attack. So we were probably 400 yards from the end, 500 yards. And there was, right at that moment, then the police dogs started. There was machine guns come out. The National Guard was right there. The helicopters had secured the whole area off, and everything was shut off for 2 or 3 blocks around, and nobody could move. But I have never seen such fear, and there was runners stranded with no clothing or capes because they were at the finish area, and the temperature was very cold, and the older people started to shake. And the kindred spirit, the people you got to believe in life, took us in and gave us water and brought us into their homes, and we had no idea what was going on.
When did you realize what had happened?
Almost immediately. The people that come back said there's some kind of an attack or an explosion of some sort. We couldn't grasp on it, but they had to freeze the area because they had to check more for any bombs, and they couldn't understand it. We couldn't assimilate the whole situation. And when the dogs come out and they were going in one alley and up the other, and the machine guns come out, I mean, this scares you. This Hollywood sets up scenes like this. This isn't Hollywood. This was real.
And you've run so many of these. Of all places for this to happen, the Boston Marathon.
Yes.
Staggering.
Yes, it is. There was 25,000 people. This is my 15th time, and I've never seen anything like this in all my life. I'm very grateful to live in Canada and North Bay. But until they get to the bottom of this, I mean, this permeates of evil. You read about it, but until you actually see people. And my friend Ahmed saw limbs lying on the road, and I was talking, he can't sleep all night. Literally limbs lying on the road. How is this gentleman going to deal with this?
How are you going to deal with it? Because you're visibly shaken, and it seems to me like this really hasn't set in yet.
No, this was a carefully orchestrated attack because they picked the right time when the most amount of runners were going to be there. And even the gentleman that was with me, he probably saved my life because I was running his race. I was trying to pace him over the line. If I hadn't have met this man, I might have finished a little sooner.
Did you pick up him during the race? Is that when you started to be his rabbit, so to speak?
Yes, there was another guide with him, and for some reason it got overwhelming for him. And he said, "How are you feeling?" He said, "You've ran this many times," and I thought maybe I could give back to the sport and take it in and help this gentleman. And I said, "Look, you're going to make it. We're at 4:30. You've got less than 2 kilometers to go." And to tell this man that he's not going to finish, he's 400 meters from the end, well, they piped us around 2 blocks over to see that he could finish. He passed the line, but not on the official line.
After the explosion and after some of the chaos, were you taken anywhere or did you go somewhere?
No, we were stalled. The police didn't want anybody to move. They were trying to freeze everything, and they were watching for people to move, or the subway was frozen, the cell phones were frozen. Nobody could go out last night. The whole night you could hear helicopters landing from roof to roof. There was dogs in the building all night. It's just terrible for a lack of compassion, a human life.
Do you ever see yourself going back and running again?
I have to, as a dedication to the people that passed away. I want to, God willing, I can get back to shape that'll take me back.
This is a sport that's much more than just an individual sport. It is a family sport.
Yes.
Give me an idea as to how you, as as the sport came together as a family and started to decompress from what happened yesterday?
Well, I basically run to stay sober. And I've used running as a stepping stone, and I've stayed sober ever since. And I have faith in God that when you come through in the bad times, I have to do what I have to do to stay sober. My daughter and my wife has given me the ultimate support to see that through. At all the times, they've never complained that I've been away.
And who's that young lady over there?
That's my daughter over here, Ramona.
Okay. Were you able to contact her at all yet last night or anything?
About 2 hours later, we couldn't move. Where I was staying was a mile on the other side of the finish line, and they wouldn't allow us to cross because whoever was responsible could escape. So they shut the subways, everything came to a stop, and they watched and they hovered the whole situation. And you know, for innocent kids at this race that are taken watching their parents and they're ending up with no limbs, I mean, this is an indication of the demons of darkness that exist.
And what do we do as a world to carry on and not let them in?
Well, Helen Keller said it best. Despite all that has happened, she said, I still believe in the goodness of mankind.